This episode of Pop Apologist is brought to you by Booking.com. Yeah. From vacation rentals to hotels across the U.S., Booking.com has the ideal summer stay for absolutely anyone, even those who might seem impossible to please. Find exactly what you're booking for. Booking.com, Booking.yeah. Book today on the site or in the app. Well. We're back. This is the first episode I'm recording, the first main episode that I am recording as a different woman today before you.
Mm-hmm. Chanler, everyone is embarking on a journey.
I have begun a new chapter. I've turned over a new leaf. A lot of change has been happening in my life. And I would say maybe one of the bigger changes happened like last week because
you came out as bisexual.
I'm bisexual. I'm going to be, opening up our relationship a month in to eligible women and men. No, I'm not going to be opening up my relationship. I'm actually in the process of simplifying my life because I have officially quit my corporate job, everybody, after 5 years working at Meta, Meta Enterprises. I was there when it was Facebook. I was there when it became Meta. I quit.
Chanler is officially a full-time podcaster. Still straight, as we know.
Still straight, still married, kind of not going to be a blonde anymore.
Oh gosh, we're not gonna discuss that.
But yes, everybody, I now only have one job. And I just have to say, I feel like I got my brain back. I feel like I was lobotomized before this, and I have been unlobotomized now.
I mean, that's a wonderful reward for, a lot of hard work, everyone. It's so exciting. We have been waiting for this moment for so long for you to be a full-time podcaster. We touched on it on the Global Elite episode, but I don't think we really discussed what a major deal this is. You fully turned your quote side hustle into a full-time, very good career.
Thank you. Very good. Very good.
I don't want to say anything obnoxious, but
no,
it's a big deal to quit a huge, a big corporate tech job with a lot of security. You made great money, great benefits, great stock options. So it's a pretty big deal to really not need that anymore because of something you created.
Yes. I mean, and wow, I don't even know where to begin with kind of walking people through this road because I think I've been pretty cagey about talking about this because I had a great job and I didn't want to jeopardize that and I didn't want to do a bad job at that job.
Right.
But I would say, we started this podcast a month before I got hired at Meta at Facebook. And so I've been doing the podcast alongside my, my day job the entire time. There hasn't been a moment where I've just had one or the other. And I think that has led to just kind of the way that I've been involved in this podcast, how much of a role I've played in it at times, how active I am on Instagram, that type of thing, because I've just been doing two things. And now, in the last couple of years, I think that we've been seeing okay, there is an exit. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. I might be able to turn this into my full-time gig.
Right.
And, I think as we kind of approach that moment, I got a little nervous. I think I was just okay, am I really going to do this?
Yeah.
And thanks to you and thanks to my efforts, we've built this amazing thing. But it was just time to bet on myself. I got through my wedding, paid for things, got through, some other hoops that I needed to jump through. And it was time. It was just time to bet on myself and to take the leap.
To take the leap. I mean, I think that you would have done it probably a year earlier if you hadn't had this huge, if you hadn't had your wedding.
Probably.
Maybe 8 months earlier, you probably would have done it.
Yeah.
But because you had your wedding looming and there were just so many bills coming up, it just didn't feel comfortable at all. But the podcast has obviously ramped up so much in terms of our output, in terms of we started with an audio only once a week podcast. And now we are most of the time on video twice a week.
We are guesting on other podcasts. We are, doing more lifestyle content. It's just turned into a kind of a full 360 business, from where it started, which was, 1 hour a week, you and I would get on and kind of just like, ramble into a microphone.
And you've done both with, well, I wouldn't say no complaints.
Oh, definitely no complaints.
But no, you've shouldered both mantles, and now you can put down one. So it's I think it's such a good day for the pod because already it's way better.
The risk of getting emotional, I think I have just felt a tremendous amount of stress and pressure doing both.
Mm-hmm.
Like I felt like I was doing two things at once poorly.
Right.
Where my brain was trying to be in two places at once. I was trying to do all my responsibilities for the podcast, go to all my meetings, fulfill all my obligations on my Meta projects. And, I also have to say that like my job at Meta was a very demanding job, and it wasn't like a job where you could quiet quit.
Right.
And so I think I felt like I just felt a lot of pressure, and I think my personality is to not let anybody down. And so the fact that, on Monday of this week, I woke up and it was just like, no, I can focus on the podcast and doing an amazing job at that. I feel like a new person, and I feel so happy.
And I also want to say, now that you are done, can you talk about your sexual attraction to Mark Zuckerberg?
Yeah,
how much you think about him?
I think I should address that.
For sure.
I've been under strict, I couldn't talk about our relationship. I wasn't allowed to discuss the goings on.
Come clean.
Yeah. I mean, the attraction reached a fever pitch, I would say, about a year ago.
Wait, for real?
No, not actually. I mean, he did look better a year ago, I think, than he had ever maybe before or 2 years ago. But it's been a while since I've seen a photo of him that really riled me up.
Did you ever see him in person at Meta?
No, I never saw him in person. I mean, I was remote basically my entire career there.
Yeah.
I did, I worked on some projects that he reviewed that he got to see.
That's exciting.
But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I was just one of the many Meta employees.
Very excited for you, Chanler. And apologies to all of the bisexuals who are offended by my very, very irreverent joke. Can I tell you something that caught my attention recently?
Yes.
So a TikTok video came on, and it was a plane flying upside down and descending into the ocean. Okay. Alaska Airlines Flight 261. Have you heard of this?
Wait. Like a plane crash?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I thought you were talking about like an acrobatic plane or some type of air show.
No. A passenger plane.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
This was in the year 2000. There were 88 passengers on board. It's a total tragedy. Okay. So trigger warning. If you don't want to hear about this, in plane crashes, please move forward with the episode. ChatGPT creates gorgeous timestamps for everyone, so you can just refer to those in the show notes. But this is just like kind of really captured my attention because the pilots remain on the phone with air traffic control until they hit the water.
You did not prepare me at all for this to be like the first segment.
I'm sorry. I should have. I'm sorry. It's really...
Are you going to play it for me?
No, I'm not going to play it.
Okay, good.
Psycho. But anyway, so what happened essentially is there was like literally kind of a screw loose. And since then, the FAA has like really tightened, those.
Your puns crazy right now.
What's the pun there?
We'll just screw loose.
Oh.
And then they've really tightened.
They've really tightened things up, literally. But what was so wild is obviously, as I said, the pilot is on the recorder with air traffic control discussing is like, we're in a vertical, we're vertically in a nosedive. We are upside down, like trying.
How many flights do you and I have in the next month?
I know. Well, I'm thinking a lot about, that's my purpose here, as I'm thinking a lot about flights because I'm on them right now constantly.
I love that you're also just bringing up like a plane crash from 25 years ago. I mean, there was obviously a terrible plane crash in India, like, a couple weeks ago.
Right.
But I love that this is where your head is at.
You can never be too vigilant. And you know what they say?
You actually can.
Those who do not learn from the past are doomed to repeat it, Chanler.
You're not an airline pilot.
Well, anyway, regardless, I've been thinking a lot about this because, what I Googled.
Okay.
What I Googled was, if this happened, if your plane left from cruising altitude of 36,000 feet and nosedive down, how long is that moment where you're just fully going down in a roller coaster?
Why are we talking about this? I'm trying to
just imagine.
I don't know. Are you going to tell me how many seconds?
I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
4 minutes. Which I personally, I will be on flights and I will be like playing my Rummy Cube on my phone, having a podcast in, trying to make the time go by, and I will look up and it'll only have been 3 minutes. Like I thought that was 20 minutes.
No.
4 minutes is a long time.
That's an eternity.
So I'm thinking, you know, what can I take? But that's not enough time for something to hit.
Oh, no, absolutely not. Yeah.
Maybe there's something we can boof.
Is that like snorting something?
No, it's putting up your...
Oh.
Yeah, because that'll absorb into the bloodstream quicker. So I'm Googling that.
You know, everyone, this is supposed to be a triumphant episode, an exciting episode with positive vibes, you know, and positivity on the horizon. And where are we at with like how you could possibly, you know...
We're trying to boof something to mentally get out of that situation.
So what conclusions have you come to?
Well, I don't think there's enough time even for that. So yeah, it's a really crazy world, and I would like anyone.
So this is literally the end of your segment. This is the end of this segment. It's just there's nothing that can be done. You bring this plane crash up from 25 years ago, and then you tell me that you recently Googled what could be done, and there's no solution at the end of this. You're fired. I'm literally kicking you off the show. Now it's my podcast.
I like to be like mom and carry like a pharmacy with me, you know, to cure any ailment or any mental dis-ease. And also it's scary to know that's not possible.
That's very scary. I mean, I think it's also worth noting that we are our mother's daughters, and our mother famously said, you know, if
it's the apocalypse,
Armageddon, she doesn't want to be, you know, ex-world leader's sex slave.
No.
We don't want to offend anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so she plans on taking 40 Ambien.
Yeah. And there's just not enough time for that plan B from mom. Maybe if you boof 40 Ambien though.
How do you think you're gonna? I mean, maybe you're in first class. So you have more like reach around space.
I
can't even touch my toes half the time when I'm on a flight.
I haven't gotten into the logistics, but 4 minutes is a long time.
Okay, well, this wasn't on the outline, everybody, and thank goodness it wasn't, because I would have killed it.
Okay. If anyone does know a way, just
now you're doing a call out.
If anyone knows of some sort of plan B we could create, I like to be prepared for all situations.
Wait, is this your story? Your brief story? Plan B story?
Oh no, that's a different story.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's a different story. Another reason why I thought about this is because that pilot who took the mushrooms.
Yeah.
And then he
freaked out.
You guys, this pilot, he took mushrooms. This was in 2023. 2 days before he went on a flight. He wasn't even the pilot for that flight, but he was sitting in the cockpit, because sometimes like pilots that are just traveling will sit in like a third seat or whatever. And anyway, he literally, I'll just read it, okay? Well, for anyone who has not heard the story.
Yeah, please share. Wow, the way this episode has taken a turn for the worst.
So, I think this is like such a riveting story.
Yeah.
And this one has a fine ending. It's nothing, there were no casualties.
Yeah.
It's not a tragedy. But what he said is that he felt trapped. There was this feeling of being trapped, and he thought, am I trapped in this airplane and now I'll never go home? So he thought that he was in a dream and it wasn't real. And he says, that's kind of where I flung off my headset and I was fully convinced this isn't real. I'm not going home. And then as the pilots didn't react to my completely abnormal behavior in a way that I thought was consistent with reality, that is when I was like, this isn't real. I need to wake up. And so he says there are 2 red handles in front of my face, and thinking that I was going to wake up, thinking this is my way to get out of this non-real reality, I reached up and I grabbed them and I pulled the levers. Those levers were engine shut-off controls. So he says, what I thought is, this is going to wake me up. I know what those levers do in a real airplane. I need to wake up from this. You know, it's 30 seconds of my life that I wish I could change, but I can't. So I guess the pilot touched his hand, and that physical touch like led him to believe, okay, this is real. This is real.
Wow.
So the pilots like undo for some miraculous reason, the engines do not shut off.
Yeah.
And he walked back into the cabin of the airplane because he's like, do we think I should leave the cockpit?
Yeah.
But then he like goes through another episode.
Oh gosh.
And he goes for like a cabin door. Like, I know. And then the flight attendant grabs his hand and he says to the flight attendant, put me in handcuffs, like restrain me, because this is not going to be good.
And he had done mushrooms 2 days before?
2 days before.
Oy vey.
Oy vey is right. Psychedelics are really nothing to be trifled with. And the reason I'm bringing this up is his court hearing or his trial begins August 20th. So yeah,
it's a really it's a really scary, that's a very scary situation. And it's very real to him. It's like someone in psychosis, basically.
For sure.
It's real to him. It's also very real to the people who are flying that plane and on that plane. You do not want somebody who is having those types of experiences, obviously. But I do know that like pilots aren't really allowed to talk about their they're not allowed to really.
They're not allowed to be, I think, on antidepressants.
Yeah.
They can't really go to psychiatrists for mental health issues because then they will lose their careers.
And it's really fascinating, just as like my own, as a human myself, thinking about how I completely understand why you don't want a pilot who is going through something like that to be the one flying your plane. But then you also, they're people, and they, should they have their career like stripped from them because they do suffer from it? And I mean, I'm not allowed to fly a plane, I guess, because I'm on Zoloft, like, I don't know. Like, it's a really complex issue.
Yeah, it's a very hard issue. And he started a foundation basically since this episode for, pilots with mental health problems.
Okay.
He was struggling with his friend's death. And so he and a group of friends took mushrooms. I think it was like on the anniversary of the friends.
Oh my gosh. Just like honestly something that you would be like, that sounds like that'll be really meaningful for you. And like that's a positive thing in my opinion to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the story is crazy. It honestly, what happened to me is I took a ton of mushrooms in Mexico because I just really didn't know you weren't supposed, like, I took a small amount, but for like 4 days straight. And not enough to actually have like some crazy psychedelic experience, but just enough to make things kind of more vivid and fun. But I didn't realize it kind of builds up in your system.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And I had like a full week where I was kind of confused.
Yeah.
Like
we're very like open-hearted and very like emotionally raw.
Super raw. But I also had I would say a period of like, I don't know, 3 or 4 days where things didn't seem real to me either. And it's very scary. It's called derealization. Ever since then, I've way cooled it on all that stuff. But yeah, it is real. So
it's absolutely real.
I don't know why we're talking about this and why I brought this up. I'm sorry.
We started this episode on such a positive note.
I know.
And now it's like pilots and their mental health. I want to talk about the innovation happening over at Clean Simple Eats, okay? They have come up with unflavored protein powder, which is something I was yearning for that I didn't know existed. And it is just perfect because sometimes you just want your protein shakes or your little, chocolate chip cookie dough balls to just have a little bit extra boost.
Okay, so you're telling me you can put this in a baked good. You can put it in water. You can just put it in whatever, and it will add protein without messing up the flavor, texture, consistency.
Yes, Lauren. It's literally a genius product. One scoop, I believe, has 25 grams of protein.
Wow.
Yes. It's the unflavored protein powder from Clean Simple Eats.
You guys go to cleansimpleeats.com. Use code POPAPologist for 10% off. I swear by the clear protein cans. Chanler swears by the unflavored protein powder. There are many solutions, thanks to Clean Simple Eats, to get your protein needs. Cleansimpleeats.com. Use code POPAPologist for 10% off.
When it comes to money, I'm definitely a set it and forget it kind of girl, which is how I ended up paying for a meditation app that I hadn't used in like a year. Enter Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. And let me tell you, seeing everything in one place was eye-opening. I had no idea how many little charges were just draining my account. I also love that Rocket Money alerts me if a bill goes up or if I'm about to go over budget. And yes, they've actually helped me cancel stuff I would have totally procrastinated on. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when they use all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/pop today. That's rocketmoney.com/pop. rocketmoney.com/pop.
There's this woman named Planet Bibi, and she's like this sexual healer. You can sign up for her courses.
I like how you twist your body when you talk about this.
Well, she wears a lot of body jewelry. She's from like Dane. She has Yolanda Hadid's accent.
Okay.
So she's very beautiful.
Yeah.
And I like
Should I look her up right now?
Yeah, you can look her up. I like a lot of what she has to say. But in her course, she can teach you how to go from basically having a normal sex life to having, quote, 25 orgasms in a row. A full hour of orgasming.
Who wants that?
That is my question. On what planet do we want to orgasm 25 times in a row? I feel like it's a little much.
Lauren, I don't think anyone who has the time to have 25 orgasms in a row has a job.
No.
And if you are happily unemployed and you are spending your time doing this, good for you. But I'm not interested in something like that.
No,
I think personally, maybe a quarter of that.
I think after 4 to 5, I'm ready to eat a Chick-fil-A sandwich. I'm ready to taste a Diet Lemonade.
Get back to my to-do list.
Yeah, I'm ready to get it going.
Yeah.
And not in that way, but with my daily life. Exactly.
So have you learned anything else besides that you don't want to have 25 orgasms in a row?
One thing I did learn from her that I thought was interesting was basically like she has a video on Instagram where she shows how if you're on top, you shouldn't be like doing the thing where you're like basically bouncing up and down, kind of like you really exercising your quads essentially.
You shouldn't be doing that.
No, because she's like, this is uncomfortable. No one likes doing this. It's painful basically.
Sure.
And she shows like where basically you should be, if you're on top, like kind of laying chest to chest on your partner as a woman, because that will be like way more comfortable. Or like prop yourself against a pillow, like actually make yourself comfortable on top rather than turning into like,
Cirque du Soleil.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And I thought that was reasonable.
Okay, cool. Well, you have just been full of surprises. None of this. I was not given, to anyone listening who I might be related to, I might be newly related to. I just want you to know that I had no heads up about any of this subject matter. So I'm sweating.
I'm giving people tips.
No, it's great. It's great.
Don't do too many mushrooms. You don't got to do the bounce on top. There's a lot I'm offering today.
I just love it because I think when I was full-time employed, I think I felt a little bit more nervous about what I was talking about, just that I could get in trouble or that it would reflect poorly on my employer. But now I don't have to worry about that. So, we could do a full episode on Planet Bibi. Let's have her on the show.
You should do it. You could do a reel demonstrating.
Yes, I could. I absolutely
could. You won't, but
demonstrating.
You could now.
Wow, I cannot wait to tackle that lifestyle content.
Okay.
It's funny. I watched the Alex Cooper documentary. You and I both watched it, and they talk about how like there's been drama with like the extended family. Do you remember this?
Oh, wait, no, I don't remember this.
Basically, like she said that her parents have had like relationships broken up, like in their extended family, because people are so not okay with the Alex Cooper's podcast. But people in her extended family have like talked to her parents and
been like, we don't want to be
ashamed
related
or whatever, and her parents have stuck up for her, and it's caused like a breakdown in some relationships.
Those people need to grow up. You know what? Like, we are adults. We can discuss things that occur.
Right.
Things that occur.
Can't even say sex.
Clearly, I'm so comfortable with this topic. Those people need to grow up. And I watched the documentary as well.
Yeah.
I feel like she is such a powerhouse. I'm so impressed by her after that documentary. This job is like so vulnerable. It's something that you really kind of put yourself out there.
Yeah.
It's hard enough just doing it together, let alone by myself. I can't even imagine.
I feel like you and I are just way too in our own heads. You have to be a person who is just honestly just less insecure.
Doesn't care.
And like, honestly, more power to her. Like, she deserves like
all her success for sure. No, she absolutely does.
Do we want to talk about it more a little bit, or?
Yeah, we could discuss a little more.
So she talks about how she had a soccer coach in college who sexually harassed her, a female soccer coach.
Yeah. And what I was not really prepared for was they really brought the receipts. Like her parents actually went to the head of whatever. Her mom has journal entries of all the times over years.
I believe her mom is a therapist.
Yeah. You can see the journal entry because I paused on one of them and it's like, I'm a psychiatrist and I don't really know how to deal with this or something like this. Like, this is so crazy. But yeah, she had this female soccer coach who's probably, I don't know, 50s.
Yeah.
And who just hyper fixated on her sexually and like would ask her about her sex life and would kind of bully her when she figured out she was dating a guy.
Right.
And, like it just basically was a living nightmare for Alex because she got this full scholarship to Boston University and it was on soccer. And so if she lost her scholarship, she like lost her ability to go to school. And, Anyway, it's just a huge nightmare to go through.
And, you know, they go to the school and they say, this is happening. They say, we have documentation, you know, we've been writing everything down. And the school doesn't even care to open any type of investigation. They
No.
basically just say, what do you want?
Mm-hmm.
They like, she literally says, you know, we're sitting across from them and we say, we have documentation, you know, here, take a look at it. And they don't even care to, which makes me think this was just a long,
Right.
you know, this had happened before.
I was so confused during that segment because I was just thinking, how hard is it to find a new soccer coach?
I don't know. I mean, you and I,
talent's that rare,
right? And like, is it worth the liability of? Yeah, super crazy.
Obviously, this was pre 2020 and all of that.
Yeah,
but I think it's a riveting documentary.
Absolutely riveting. I think that it was really sweet. I think to see her husband.
Yeah,
I don't know. Did you have any takes on him?
I thought he was super cute. It took me a minute to realize that she had a male hairstylist and it was not also her husband doing her hair. Cause I was just like, wow,
what a guy.
What a guy. Like Kagan has a lot to learn. We're going to sit down and watch this as a family. No, I like them together. I thought he was great.
Yeah.
The thing, well, do you want to speak to that before I tell you one other observation I had?
It's funny. I feel like in some ways I was like, wow, that's so great that he's so in it, that they're, you know, literally working on her live show together. He's giving her notes.
Right.
But then I was kind of like, I don't know if I totally would want that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that it would, I don't know. I think it would just be really hard to like actually work together.
Yeah, I mean, I think separation of church and state can be nice, and not to have that added layer of stress. I'm sure the $100 million deal or the whatever it was with Spotify, I'm sure the millions and millions and millions, you know, have helped with the stress potentially. Mm-hmm. One thing I was jealous of is she has, so basically when she records, and I was shocked they showed this, she had not only someone basically kind of like not feeding her lines, but like, oh, say it like this. Like, let's redo that. Did you see that part?
Oh, wait, when she's practicing for her live show? Or when she's like, when she has a guest?
When she's recording a solo episode, she has a cameraman. And then she also has someone who's like
producing it, basically?
Let's re-say that, but just with a little more emphasis. And I was definitely a little jealous of that.
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, that would be pretty amazing.
Because I think, you know, sometimes when you hit record, you just kind of go and you almost like black out. You like know what you're saying, but you kind of don't because you're just like, I'm on. And so you had a person there being like, that didn't sound right. You mispronounced that word. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, wow, that would be really, really nice. That is crazy that they showed that.
Yeah, I know. It was definitely a peek behind the scenes. It made it, now I kind of like understood how she can kind of carry that huge show on her own.
Right.
Also, it makes sense though. There's like so much money behind it. I'm sure Netflix is like, we want you to have the, you know, the biggest team and all the help in the world.
I appreciate her interviews. I like, especially if there's a guest that I care about. I don't tune in though regularly. I don't necessarily find, I'm not crazy fascinated with Alex Cooper as a person.
Right. Well, but neither of us were OG Daddy Gang.
Right. But I think that when there's a guest that I care about, like I really tune in. But anyway, everyone recommend watching the documentary. It's like, you know, 2 quick episodes.
Yeah, it's excellent. All right, everyone. So Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, otherwise known as Meghan Sussex, no longer Meghan Markle. She confirmed on an episode of Aspire with Emma Grede.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce her last name, but I think so. She says, I love that there's so much excitement and desire for a second season, but I need to focus on my business. She continued saying that growing her lifestyle/jam brand is her priority, but it's very difficult to do that while juggling a podcast and a Netflix show. Very rarely do people see everything that's happening behind the scenes, she says. I show a small glimpse of that, but equally, I wrapped season 1 of my Netflix series, still had to promote it, and still had to be in edits for season 2. It's very Blake of her. At the end of the day, there was just only so much that she could do.
I mean, and she's got to email her kids every night.
That's true. And make the lunches. She says, quote, at a certain point, the only thing I want to spread thin is my jam. I mean,
what a line.
That's obviously not something she rehearsed at all.
Nope.
Or, knew she would announce or say on the podcast.
First of all, I just want to say, can we call it a hiatus if nobody was even really listening in the first place?
I mean, an excellent question. Who honestly was still listening to Confessions of a Female Founder? I think it was kind of like interesting to tune into in the beginning. Yeah. Just to see how it would go.
Right. And to just like hear more words out of her mouth.
Yeah. But then once you realize a lot of the conversations are going to be kind of so sanitized and banal and I don't know. It just, I stopped listening personally.
it's tough that she's had 2 podcast seasons that have both
been the first. First and final.
And it's like, it's kind of like, I hope she just kind of really puts a pin in podcasting for the time being. Like, let's focus on As Ever. Let's focus on the show. I think this is the right move for her.
Mm-hmm.
It is a little bit funny to me.
I think that with podcasting, it's just not the medium for her. Podcasting is a medium where you really cannot hide who you are. Like I heard Lauren Bostic say that on an episode of Skinny Confidential. Like, you're talking for hundreds of hours on a podcast. People are going to get to know you. You cannot hide who you are. And I think Meghan is a person who likes to be a lot more curated.
Yes.
And I think she kind of likes to hide a little bit who she is.
Yeah.
That's not going to work with the podcasting format, especially, being on video.
Right.
It's just not going to work.
And also, let me just say, it's just another thing that people can criticize.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I don't think it was doing super well.
Right.
So I think it's just another surface where she can kind of fail.
Right.
So I think this is the right call.
I agree.
Apparently, Prince Harry is going to extend an olive branch to King Charles and to Prince William because he's inviting them to the next Invictus Games. All right. But the Invictus Games aren't until 2027.
Oh my gosh. So they have roughly 2 years to come up with an excuse.
So I guess it's hoped by insiders that relations will have thawed enough for the members of the royal family to join him at the 2027 events in Birmingham, England.
So did you see this? There are also reports that Charles is softening in his old age and will come. Did you see this?
No.
He is apparently planning to even sing an a cappella performance of Hakuna Matata. Okay, that was a stupid joke I did right before this.
But wait, did he say that he is gonna come?
No.
Okay. No. I was like, wow.
No, Charles will probably decline. I think that the writing the book was just it's
done.
Over. It's done. We are not going to ever I don't know that Charles has even met his kids.
Besides
Archie.
Yeah.
Yeah, excuse me.
Also, I guess the Invictus Games in 2027 do coincide with the 80th birthday of Queen Camilla.
Okay, well, that's a good excuse.
Yeah, honestly, they got to have a party at Sandringham.
They got to throw down in Scotland.
I will say, I think it is pretty interesting that they're putting this out publicly. That it's like, okay, you have 2 years for us to kind of rebuild this road.
Right.
I used to think like, what's the point of this? It's 2 years from now. And I'm like, oh, this is very intentional.
Well, it's definitely, I think, coming from, the Archewell press people.
Yes.
From the House of Sussex in order to, make King Charles, A, seem like he's holding a grudge, not letting it go. But B, it's like, don't you want to come to the Invictus Games to celebrate disabled veterans?
Right.
If there's a cause to not shirk disabled veterans, really, King Charles?
It's not like the premiere of, With Love, Meghan.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I hope he goes. Or maybe William will just go. Maybe not King Charles. I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, will King Charles even live that long?
That is a good question.
I mean that with love.
I hope he goes too, and I would love to see this family actually bury the hatchet and try to mend. I don't think will ever happen though.
Really, you would bet money that it's never going to happen.
That it'll never happen. Mend. I think they want to make a lesson out of Meghan and Harry because if you think about it, what they have done, essentially going out, writing a book, a tell-all book, it just goes against everything that a royal should really do, which is be very polished. Not tell the insider tea.
And it's even if they do reunite in 2027, who's to say they don't do another Oprah interview after?
I think that's such a good point.
The can of worms could continue to, be opened.
A lot of people have speculated that is why Charles doesn't want to talk to Harry anymore. Because it's he really can't say anything. He wouldn't be comfortable being broadcast.
I mean, yeah, we don't even know that they have real stable income. They kind of need to be continuing to be in the news cycle.
Absolutely.
So, okay. Well, I'm glad we've, completely figured that out.
Yeah. So no need everyone to, look ahead to 2027. We have uncovered exactly what will occur.
We didn't talk about Meghan's latest launch with As Ever, the wine.
Oh, did it actually launch?
I mean, I feel like we know that it's wine.
So wine is coming. I did get apricot spread. that is
Great.
coming. So I will try that. Oh, I saw just the funniest thing that basically said like spread is a very lower form of jam, and it's only like you only have a spread if the fruit wasn't good enough and just someone like tore apart her product.
Stop.
Yeah,
I think
like
that's funny.
An actual jam expert, of course, was on
Like
the
you
Daily
can't
Mail.
say jam. You can't legally say jam if it's not of a certain quality.
Yeah, and they were saying like it's not organic. It's going to be filled with pesticides.
Because also like half the stuff I buy at Trader Joe's I think is a spread. It's not a jam. Wow.
Yeah.
Now I know. I mean, there's also a crepe mix, a shortbread cookie mix.
Is stuff still in? Is there anything that you can still purchase a few days later? My guess is it's all sold out.
No, it's sold out.
Yeah. One thing I will say, as we're discussing Meghan, the episode of her with Emma Grede on that podcast,
Yeah.
it is such a stark contrast to the other episode she did because yeah, she's not with that woman, the billionaire L'Oreal girl, who is just as cloying and saccharine as Meghan. She is with like Emma Grede, who is very real, and it's so funny. They have this exchange where she's like, Emma's like, you pack the lunches. And Meghan's like, I love packing them. And she's like, oh, I could never. Like, she's like, I don't pack lunches. Like,
very relatable.
So relatable. And then she goes, and Meghan talks about how much she loves volunteering too, like in the classroom and stuff. And Emma's like, oh, I can never. I have not volunteered. I could not. And she's like, well, you could start now. And she's like, I don't want to. I don't want to pack the lunches. I don't want to volunteer in the classroom. Like, it's a no for me. And it actually brings so much levity and fun.
Yeah.
To that.
Does Meghan laugh?
I mean, kinda. Like, she's not. I wouldn't say she's expanding.
She's not like,
joke. She's not like, yeah, girl, same.
Right.
Or the only reason I like packing lunches is because I literally have a full-time help to do everything else.
Exactly. It's mainly, I'm sure it's just a matter of going to the fridge and getting things out of pristine Tupperware that have already been cut up.
Yeah, I think making lunches, making dinner is very different when a house manager has made sure the groceries are there, is going to clean up the mess. Mm-hmm. There's someone to clean up the mess. You're probably just actually cutting the sandwich someone else made into a star shape.
Right.
You write the little note. You have a glass of wine with Harry. You hit your Duolingo. I mean, it's a different reality.
That's the fun part of cooking is literally just the grabbing the ingredients, assembling, and actually cooking. It's the shopping, the cleaning,
the
chopping, that all that grunt work that makes it a total nightmare.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, Meghan does not opine that is the reason why she's able to enjoy the lunch making process.
Wow.
She kind of digs in her heels, but Emma Grede is just such a better interviewer.
Okay, I want to. I'm gonna listen.
Yeah.
What did Emma Grede start?
So she was the co-founder or like CEO of Good American, and then
cool.
Also Skims.
Cool. Okay.
So she's like very in bed with the Kardashians.
Quick little plug for Skims, by the way. Yeah. I wore Skims to this wedding I went to over the weekend. And I am usually like not a shapewear person. I'm like, if the dress fits and I don't need shapewear, I'm not going to wear it.
Right.
But I wore it and I actually was like, wait, my body underneath my like silk dress looked better. Smooth.
Yeah.
And it was actually so comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so big fan. Shapewear is kind of worth it.
Yeah.
Even though I mean, I had to have Ben help me get into it because I was worried I was going to break my press-on nails and that was harrowing, but it was worth it.
I feel like this is not an ad, everyone, even though Skims, I'm not sure if they're still sponsoring
they have in the past.
Anyway, I am obsessed with their pajamas. I basically exclusively wear Skims. Yeah, I think Skims really is the best. So if you do shop at Skims, try to use code POPApologist. That'll help out the show. Keep Chanler from going back to Mark's clutches. This episode of POPApologist is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. When I'm planning a getaway, whether it's a long weekend with my husband or a getaway with my girlfriends, I always start with where we're staying. Because for me, the stay isn't just part of the experience, it is the experience. I always look for a truly stunning hotel or vacation rental with a few non-negotiables, a gorgeous bathroom, a private terrace, and a view that makes you want to press pause on real life. I've also learned to filter for balcony and bathtub because sometimes a golden hour soak is the entire itinerary. Oh, and my husband, he pretends not to care until he finds those 800 thread count sheets. That's why I love Booking.com. If I can find my perfect stay on Booking.com, anyone can. Find exactly what you're booking for. Booking.com. Booking.yeah. Book today on the site or in the app.
Grocery shopping in New York is kind of a nightmare. You oftentimes have to go to several different stores for all the things you need, and half the time they're not even in stock, and you're overpaying, which is why I decided to try Thrive Market, okay? It's been a total game changer. It's like your favorite health food store, but online and 30% cheaper. They've got all of our favorite brands like Siete, Primal Kitchen, Simple Mills, and they deliver it right to your door. I use Thrive Market because it's easy and I can find everything Ben and I need in one place. With all of the pantry staples, clean beauty, and supplements, you name it, they've got it. I've been avoiding, all the extra ingredients that, your food just doesn't need. And Thrive makes it super easy to filter for exactly what you want. Shipping is fast and carbon neutral. And when you sign up, you get a free gift worth up to $60 with your first order. Skip the junk without overspending. Head over to thrivemarket.com/pop to get 30% off your first order and a free $60 gift. That's thrivemarket.com/pop. thrivemarket.com/pop. There has been an update in the Baldoni versus Lively case.
Yes.
So I'm going to read this update verbatim.
Okay.
Because, I'm just going to say I'm a little lost in the sauce with this, everybody. I feel like there's a lot that is still just like, which text messages do they get access to, blah, blah, blah.
Well, we're going to make things clear right now on this show.
So despite attempts from both Blake and Taylor, on Wednesday of last week, the district judge, Louis Lyman, ruled that texts between Taylor Swift and Blake Lively, at least any that specifically pertain to the movie and its behind-the-scenes drama, should be turned over to Justin Baldoni's legal team.
If the nails weren't already in the coffin of Taylor and Blake's friendship, they sure are now, because there's got to be something in those text messages.
Something.
So Blake, she did some sort of motion with the court and said she would drop something. Sorry, guys, I probably should have come with the facts for this, but she did some sort of plea, please do not ask for these text messages or drop this need for these text messages, and it was not granted. So Blake, maybe it was just Blake not wanting to sully things with Taylor Swift and hold on to some shred of hope that this friendship would be retained. Maybe there is something that's going to be crazy when it's eventually leaked, because God knows if Brian Friedman is talented at anything, it's leaking information about this case.
Right.
So I think we will see those text messages.
What I'm wondering about these text messages, are they going to make Blake look bad? Is it going to be a moment where, Blake's side of things doesn't really hold up? Or is it going to be something that makes Taylor look bad? And that's why she's so nervous about them being leaked, because it's just she already is in the doghouse, to put it lightly. And she's now going to publicly embarrass this mega star who was her best friend.
I mean, is there literally a photo of Justin and then a link to the song Gorgeous from Blake to Taylor? We
literally,
don't know.
Is she a zoom in on his arms? Mom's text to me, Alan's arms. Justin's arms.
Oh
Zoom.
my gosh.
I think we're going to see probably messages about the song, probably messages about Isabella getting cast, because that allegedly Taylor Swift was a part of that. But yeah, I'm dying to see. And I just have to say, I am a little bit lost in the sauce, losing track of all of these legal details, them still going back and forth, who's winning, who's not. I guess I thought that 2 weeks ago when Justin kind of lost big about when his lawsuit was canceled,
basically his lawsuit was dismissed, but he could refile 4 of the claims.
Yeah, so I kind of thought, okay, well, this is probably going to lay low for the next little bit, and then we'll just wake up when it's May 2026. But anyway, lots of stuff is still happening. There's still motions being filed, and the judge is still ruling. That being said, I am ready for this trial to get going. I'm a little bit ready to kind of put this baby to bed.
Oh, I mean, I think that this trial and this subject, I think people are a little tired of it.
Yeah, right. And yeah, I'm sure Taylor's tired of it, but it's we have a year to go. I mean, Ben and I might spend our 1-year anniversary camped outside the courthouse, downtown New York.
I think if you and Ben make it to your 1-year anniversary,
we'll see.
If he has to keep hearing about this case.
I know. I'm sick of talking about it a little bit.
No, I think that we are doing a good job on this podcast of not making it our entire brand, of not just, rehashing it over and over again.
But okay, here I go. Because that video you sent me of Daily Dose of Donna going to the plantation where Blake
got married.
I will say, I watched the video, and it's more than just a house that a slave owner lived at. It is literally slave houses, and it's very somber and sad, I would say, these grounds. And so the idea that you would have your wedding there was pretty shocking to me. I actually recommend everyone going and watching that video, because it's, at first I just thought it was like a house.
It's honestly just strange.
It's so strange that you would think like this has the right energy.
No, it's absolutely bizarre. So that's some real journalism on the part of Donna Bowling. And it makes no sense. She really has it kind of like near this very somber place. It's not even really in like the beautiful part of the plantation.
Yeah, like it's like it's very close to like some very, like, I would say somber parts of the property.
Right.
Yeah, where clearly like horrible things happen.
Yeah. I mean, Blake Lively continues to confound. I think that one thing I will be curious to see is like if Taylor Swift is her best friend, kind of pivoting back to the text messages.
Let's get right back to it.
I just think that it'll be interesting to see, because if this is truly your best friend, this is your dragon, this is who you probably tell everything to, there should be text messages that say, this guy is creeping me out, this guy is harassing me. There should be. Maybe she don't want to bug her on the Eras tour, but I think that's being generous.
If this is your best friend, you are telling her. If you're telling your husband, you're probably also telling your best friend. Especially when your best friend has met him. Yeah.
But the last thing I will say on this is we got another tip with someone.
Another tip
from someone close to
parties.
Someone who I guess was at a dinner with Taylor Swift. More word that the word on the street is that it's completely done. And at this dinner, apparently talking shit on Blake Lively was the main part of the agenda.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Taylor, if you ever want to join the pod and opine, we will be here.
I mean,
it'll be a good get for us.
Did you see what was posted? Her in the club?
No.
It's on.
Oh, yes, I did. Oh my gosh, I felt
it.
so bad for her. Did you see that?
Of her in the club, like with that green two-piece on?
Well, okay, so there's a video of her. I'm not sure if it's in the gingham, but it's over the weekend.
Yeah.
She was, I guess, in Nashville.
Yes.
And anyway, they're playing Wildest Dreams. Did you see this video?
No, I didn't see the video.
She just is like, like she's just so clearly annoyed. And I do feel for her. Like it would be
like the bar is like, oh, we're playing your song.
Yes, exactly. Was like crying your private jet. Girl.
Yeah, a little bit. Like I'm just kind of like, I don't know. Then there's her and Travis dancing to Love Story.
I know, but it probably I'm
which
sure
is it, Taylor? Do you like your music or do you not?
I'm sure there are a lot of moments where she just wants to blend in and doesn't want to be the center of attention.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I felt worse for her when she was having to talk to the city commissioner or whatever.
I'm the deputy mayor.
Yes.
Oh gosh. Chan, I have a friend. She's very esteemed, Forbes 30 under 30, has a very impressive company. She's a CEO, she's a tycoon, she sits on boards or whatever. She has a lot going on in her brain.
Why is she friends with you?
That is honestly the $1 million question. But I have to tell you, I got a text from her husband the other day and he said, thank you so much for recommending Early Bird CBD. She has honestly been able to just chill out a little bit, so much more. She takes half a gummy and it has been life-changing for her. We cannot swear by Early Bird CBD gummies more in our households.
They are the only gummies that I reach for.
They help you in the middle of the night just get back to sleep. If you want to enjoy a show more, a delicious meal, melt into that pillow of yours. You guys, earlybirdscbd.com. Use code POPAPologist for 20% off. You will not regret it, and a bottle lasts a long time. That's earlybirdscbd.com. Use code POPAPologist for 20% off. You know who is not hurting for a man these days?
Who?
Lauren Sanchez. Okay.
Certainly not.
So apparently wedding festivities, everyone, began today in Venice.
Oh, wow.
Or no, I'm sorry. Everyone started arriving today. So Oprah's going, George Clooney.
Orlando Bloom alone.
Very odd.
Very odd.
Who knows if that's really true. But okay, apparently, so as we discussed on our premium episode, there's like all this protesting.
Yeah. The Venetian people are not happy about this wedding.
The Venetians are not enjoying Jeff Bezos, what they would call like taking over Venice. And I think it's no space for Bezos, our signs that have been plastered around the city.
You know, I'm just going to say, I think they should have come up with a more clever slogan. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. No space for Bezos. Like,
I think it's a play on the Rockets, you know, Blue Origin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little niche.
Yeah.
It's a little niche. I think most people would appreciate it, a prime pun.
Yeah, totally. Like prime time to
to get out of here.
To get out of here.
Jeff. Okay, well, Chanler, you can get back to copywriting for the Venetians potentially if this podcast, hits the dust. But
2-day shipping till you're out of here. I don't know.
That was great. So apparently the news is that they have booked multiple venues, and essentially this wedding is going to be a little bit agile, which sounds insane because they're going to basically go to wherever, like they've booked multiple venues to try to throw off paparazzi, throw off these protesters, and they're kind of going to use whatever ends up working in the moment, which is, I don't even know how that's possible logistically.
When you have all the money in the world, I guess you can just kind of rent out the city. And, I'm just imagining them just like, cutting between buildings, running away from protesters. This also sounds like so much stress. Like, let's just go to a private island. Let's just do a private island ceremony. Why does it need to be in Venice if it's going to cause this much drama? Why are you? I don't know. I feel like it's not worth it to me.
I completely agree. I think if you're a celebrity, you really have to rent out an island basically to have any sort of privacy. But I don't think that Jeff and Lauren really crave privacy. Like they love a pap walk.
Right.
They are no strangers to the public eye. So maybe they don't want that.
Do you think she's driving this forward, or do you think he is? Do you think or do they both just equally like the spotlight?
I think they both do.
Yeah.
And I also think that I think that he probably calls the shots. And so if he didn't want this, he wouldn't be doing it. He's, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
Anyway, I will be watching with bated breath. I cannot wait to see her dress. I'm so curious. Very interesting that Meghan Markle is not on the list of attendees when a lot of, people I think that are in the same circle are going.
Maybe plane tickets are too expensive.
Potentially. Yeah.
Yeah, it is weird that she's not going to be there.
Yeah, I wonder if it's something where it's kind of one of those moments where it's like, why am I not invited? Type of thing.
Oh, I'm sure there are so many celebrities that are like, I mean, because only Chris and Kim are going?
Chris and Kim. The guest list was actually felt very Meghan Markle adjacent because it's like Orlando Bloom, Oprah Winfrey, Kris Jenner, Kim Kardashian, Ivanka Trump. A lot of those people, which seem to be kind of Meghan adjacent. Yeah. So anyway,
but also not really. Like it's kind of a random smattering.
It is, but it's honestly giving Meghan's wedding because it's kind of like inviting as many A-listers as possible.
Right.
Another, maybe Kate and William will be in attendance.
No way.
You don't think?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. Well, we shall see, everyone, and we will be reporting on it.
Yeah, very excited.
Very exciting.
So I sent you this article from New York Mag, and it's 5 anonymous confessions from people who live in the Hamptons who, are basically just trying to keep up appearances.
I mean, this was so juicy to read because there are obviously so many people just flaunting and just trying to seem like the 1%ers that actually are not and trying to keep up with that lifestyle. And so to hear these people anonymously sharing the reality, it's kind of gratifying as someone who is not part of that community.
Every time I have gone to the Hamptons or whatever, I have really had my jaw on the floor because I'm just like, where do all these people come from?
Right.
Because some of them are A-listers, and then a lot of them are just privately extremely rich people. You walk through the coffee shop there and you're just like, every single person in this coffee shop is richer than me. Right. The teenagers who are driving around, the cute Broncos are richer than me.
I mean, it's a lot of them. It's just on a level that's so unfathomable.
Yes.
It's private plane and it's just a different life.
It is absolutely a different level. I think if you were able to live there, or it really is the 1% of the 1%.
Yeah, I would say some of it. There are obviously homes that are more normal there.
Yeah, but
a lot of it is the 1%ers.
Yes, yeah. Okay, so I thought this was the first one that really stuck out to me. So this person says, I signed up the kids for camp at the club, and I don't know how I'm going to make the $10,000 upfront payment. Every year I'm like, I can't do this again. I can't afford it. But then I find a way. I'm always doing math in my head and weighing the pros and cons. It's like a game of chicken. Here's the craziest part. When your payments of club bills are outstanding, you get outed in these emails sent to the whole membership. They say, not that it's happened to me yet, but stay tuned.
You know what I want to hear from? I want to hear from the kids that are A, they don't want to go to camp.
No.
And B, they have super stressed out parents who are trying to keep up appearances. Yes. It's Mom, I don't actually want to drive this crazy nice car if you and Dad are fighting all the time because we can barely pay our bills. I mean,
I'm sure they want to drive the nice car, but maybe they don't need to go to camp.
I mean, they probably want to go to camp and want the nice car too. But I don't know. It just seems like listening to these stories, it's hard to feel sorry for these people because they're truly in hells of their own making.
Yes.
And it's cautionary. It's a cautionary tale.
You know, if there was ever the crazy world where I could afford that or I could do that, it's like, oh, do I really want to be like rubbing elbows or like, are these the people that I want to be trying to fit in with?
Literally reading this, it's like, I never want to be friends with, I don't want to even exist in these worlds because you could just see how you could kind of turn into that.
Yes. Well, and also just like money is not always a guarantee.
Well, there's a crazy one where basically someone says like this person lost their house because they would rather have like basically lost their house than rent it out for part of the year and admit to their friends that they needed money.
Wow. I mean, that's crazy.
It's insane.
Okay, let me read another one. This one is just a little bit more like funny. It's a little bit less like dark and sad. This person says, so the title of this one is The Mom Carrying a Fake Bag to Amber Waves. So can I afford a $7,000 purse? No. Do I still want the $7,000 purse? Yes. Now I get it through the black market. I take that fake purse with me to Amber Waves in Amagansett. And when I'm there, I'm wondering, does everyone here have the real thing? Are we just surrounded by $200,000 worth of purses? Or is everyone just pretending? I'm pretending. There's a desperation in the air, especially in August.
One of my favorite articles is about the super wealthy women who genuinely can afford it and do have the money, but buy what are called super fakes because they say that they're like, well, I don't want to spend my money on that. And it's stupid. These are literally stupid purchases. So I don't even care.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like, I appreciate when I find out that the uber rich are, you know, also kind of like trying to keep it all together.
Well, or people who are trying to have the appearance of being uber rich. I always think about what Scott Galloway says, which is basically you can, if you keep your burn well beneath what your like cash flow is, you'll feel rich. And if you spend everything you make, you will feel poor. Right. And I just think that happens like across
every level.
So there are people who make a modest income but spend less and feel super comfortable. They sleep well at night. Life is good.
Yep.
And then there are the people who make millions of dollars a year, but they need to have that summer house. They need to have all the things.
Right.
And they like can't sleep at night.
It's such a mental exercise to not keep up with the Joneses.
I think it's being aware of like the company you keep and how they can influence you.
Right.
And if you are enjoying those things, like keeping perspective on what actually matters.
Right.
So agreed.
I mean, as I literally try to move, you know, all my stuff, I'm seeing so much stuff that I've bought that I just truly did not need.
Yeah.
That I forgot about, don't care about, don't use. I would like to, you know, now that I am sort of simplifying my life.
Yeah.
I would like to also simplify, you know, and buy less.
Honestly, one of my favorite TikTok accounts. Have you heard of, did I tell you about Classic Carolyn?
Her and her husband, like they like hit the skids financially, right?
Yeah, they hit the skids financially. They lost everything. And she talks about it. She says like, we used to have, like we traveled the world in style. We had a live-in housekeeper, like all the trappings, all the things. Had a very different life. Then they lost everything. They got a divorce. Now she works as an executive assistant, drives into the city, lives in New Jersey, and she loves her life. And she like has a beautiful like little farmhouse that she loves. And she talks about how like she doesn't need to go on vacation because her life feels like a vacation just getting to live in her house. And she loves her house so much. And like, and she talks about like, you can kind of read the comments, and she basically has said like she's just as happy now as she was then. It's just a different experience. Yeah. And I don't know. I just think it's like you very rarely, I feel like, hear from people who have had that happen.
Yeah.
So
and especially being so honest to be like, I'm just as happy.
Totally. And like to say like my life looks very different now.
Right.
So anyway, I just find her TikTok to be so charming. She's like does outfits of the day.
Yeah,
and she's very cute and one of my favorite follows. So everyone follow Classic Carolyn on TikTok.
Okay, everyone.
Anyway,
follow that account.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with us today on this episode.
Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Such a momentous day. Welcome to being a full-time podcaster, Chan. Congrats again.
Thank you. So happy to be here. It's a dream.
And thank you all so much for listening and making this dream a reality. Love you guys.
Love you.